the terms now are changed. The table is turned. So we will try, and we see that our guys are now entrenching somewhere deep inside the Russian territory. And that's probably also the important message to the Russians who are supporting. They believed that we're somewhere there, in
Yeah.
safety of their houses. They can watch TV and think of how great they are in their leader. But no, if there is a war, it is a war. So if you want to close it down and end this page of our history of neighborhood, we should do it now.
War in Ukraine and aggression from Russia has been a geopolitical mainstay for at least a decade, and most recently thrown up the global agenda after Russia's full-scale invasion. The Kremlin hoped events would move quickly. Instead, they stalled. Now the tectonic plates have seemed to have shifted quite considerably. Ukraine's top commander, Alexander Syrsky, says Kyiv's forces now control 1,000 square kilometers of Russian territory as they press their surprise cross-border incursion. Yesterday, we heard from Sergei Markov, a former advisor to Vladimir Putin, and he accepted that this was all a humiliation for Moscow.
It's humiliation for Vladimir Putin, and people, of course, are not happy. There are dozens of thousands of refugees from those regions. A lot of millions of people are taking part in taking some kind of humanitarian aid to those people, and it's clear that already during the week, Russian army not able to handle this problem.
So what might Russia do next, and how far does Western support go in backing an incursion into Russia? Vadym Prystaiko was Ukraine's ambassador to the United Kingdom. We spoke to him quite often during the early stages of the war. Vadym, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Were you surprised by the nature of this incursion, how successful it's been, and how ambitious it has been?
Yeah, you're right. It's just been recently admitted by Ukrainian political and military leadership that this is actually a military operation of combined forces of Ukraine. There were previously some things of raids and something, but this is full-scale operation. As you mentioned already, 44 villages and settlements taken, including the regional center and 1,000 square kilometers, by the way, which is twice as much as Russians managed to get on our north during all their summer campaign. So that is quite surprising, but have to tell you that it boosted morale of Ukrainians a lot.
Are you worried that, we talked yesterday a bit about this, and the point was made as well, there's already all-out war with Ukraine. Putin can't do much more, even if the provocation, as he would see it, is greater. But I suppose there's the danger of tactical nuclear strikes as a result of this. Are you worried at all that this might push Putin into a place that takes him further down that direction?
No, this sort of discussion is quite popular in Ukraine too. We are not crazy. We understand all the dangers. One of the nations which went through the nuclear disaster. We cherish this memory and wouldn't like to repeat it again. But at the same time, the West was always taking it very seriously, Russian threat of these red lines, and been unable to do much because of the danger of nuclear. What we're showing right now that the Putin's regime is rotten from within, and his allegedly second biggest army in the world is not as dangerous and as not as formidable as many say, including the nuclear arsenal. We do not see that this arsenal could be used, and there is sort of common understanding around the world, not in Ukraine or West, that these weapons should be in silos for eternity, never used.
So you actually think you're kind of showing him up for being weaker than he pretends to be here?
It is important for his own people, because these people, being hostage of his regime for some quite while, they do believe all this nonsense that West and in Ukraine as a newly part of this West, I actually want something from him and trying to encircle and all this stuff. And they believe that they have this mission to go and occupy Ukraine and regain the Soviet Union in all this glory of 1991. No, there is different times, new times, and they also have to have a new leadership. It's their business to do, but what we're showing that this 19th century tactic of grabbing somebody's lands and dictating, this Putin called this, Ukraine should admit the new territorial reality. So we give him new reality to ponder.
Yeah, well, you've certainly done that. How long can you hold it? Do you think this is something that you can hold until there's some form of peace, or is this something that you bloody his nose, you punch him in the mouth, and then you've got to retreat again?
I'd love to be fully informed of the plans, but I'm not. and there are not many Ukrainians who actually are. So what we believe that we understand, and we're quite critical in Ukrainian society of our success. We're careful. We understand that we overstretch our resources, especially these highly motivated, well-trained military servicemen. But we also know that if there is any peace, and Putin wants to be on his terms. No, the terms now are changed. The table is turned. So we will try, and we see that our guys are now entrenching somewhere deep inside the Russian territory. And that's probably also the important message to the Russians who are supporting. They believed that we're somewhere there, in safety of their houses. They can watch TV and think of how great they are in their leader. But no, if there is a war, it is a war. So if you want to close it down and end this page of our history of neighborhood, we should do it now.
Yeah, it's a great point. Well, Vadym, we'll see what happens, but it is a striking development in a war that felt like it was going nowhere in lots of respects. Good to speak to you. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Great to speak to you too. Thank you.
That's Vadym Prystaiko there, who was Ukraine's ambassador, giving Russia something else to think about, and also showing, in his view, that Putin is not as powerful as he pretends, and the nuclear threat is not as vigorous as he would suggest it would be.